It is October 17th, 2025, and I call this meeting to order at 2:01 p.m. Kyla, do you mind doing a roll call?
Not at all. Commissioner Thompson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Cohen?
Here.
Commissioner Cinco?
Here.
And Commissioner Swenson?
Here.
And then our AAG for the agency, Elise Phelan?
I'm here.
And then ACDHH staff, Carmen Smith?
Here.
Victoria Vaughn? Ashley Barton?
Here.
And then myself, Kyla Dalton-Nova.
Thank you, Kyla. We're going to move on to the review and approval of the interpreter licensing applicants. Is there anybody who has a motion to go ahead and approve that?
Can you repeat that, please, Lisa?
Is there a motion to?
My internet froze just a second. So Dustin was signing and froze a bit on the screen, so I didn't get the full gist.
I just asked for a motion to approve the applicants and go through the names.
I move. Let me pull up the names. I've got it. I move to approve the following applications, 22 in total, starting with Anna Martin, Beth Zurich, Crystal Lowe, E. Shotzi Taylor, Deb Strauss, Donna Schneider, Grace Redding, Joshua Evans, Fisher, Linda Rez, Lisa Perry, Malachi Mooney, Mandy Young, Raina Oshira, Sarah Spencer, Sophia Evans, Bethany Pope, Sunny Heller, Susan Vamos Lathan, Teresa Rosa Dusen, Tiffany Lewis Hamilton, and Victoria Bradley.
Thank you, Commissioner Cinco. All in favor to approve these applicants? Okay, congratulations to the newly licensed interpreters. Kyla, I meant to get the numbers from you prior to this, but that slipped my mind as far as in-state and out-of-state. So maybe later we can get that. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next item, which is announcements. Is there anything from the ACDHH staff that you would like to announce today? Nothing? Okay.
No, not today.
The next item is public comments pertaining to today's interpreter complaints. Kyla, would you mind reading those for us? It looks like we have some written and then video and then in person. Is that correct?
That is correct. So today we have some written comments and then we have 2 live commenters. Did you want me to read the statement or did you?
Oh,
want
I can
to-
go ahead and do that.
Okay.
All right, I'll read the statement here. Virginia says the screen is frozen. I'm not sure if that's mine or. Am I good for everybody?
As far as I can tell, you're good. On my end, it almost looks like Virginia's frozen.
Oh, okay. Okay. The board is responsible for establishing time limits for public participation. Unless modified by the board at a particular meeting, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes on all topics. Personal attacks on board members, staff, or other persons in attendance or absent are discouraged. Individuals are cautioned that statements concerning others that could be considered slanderous may subject the speaker to civil action. Those who violate this rule can be barred from future appearances before the board. This applies to both public hearings and board meetings. The cooperation is appreciated.
Okay, I will go ahead and proceed with the written comments. The first written comment comes from Alvina Malcolm, who writes, "Thank you for reaching out regarding this matter. I am greatly concerned about this misunderstanding. I have been a member in good standing of RID since 2005, and I have been nationally certified since 2007. I have worked in various settings and pride myself in outstanding interpreting services to each consumer with whom I work. Within the last 2.5 years, I began to work with the video remote interpreting section of Sorensen Communications, which provides an on-demand interpreting virtually. As a requirement of this work, I applied and received licenses for various states with the understanding that to interpret for consumers in those respective states, I would need to have a state license. Arizona is one of those states. I applied and earned a license as a certified interpreter for Arizona in 2023. When my renewal came to be ready, I did not renew within the 60-day deadline. I applied for a renewal, but with a 46-day lapse in license. Although I do not have an answer from my supervisors, I have copied them on this communication to give them an opportunity to respond with more information. If any of my on-demand work was done virtually with a consumer in Arizona during those 46 days, I have reviewed the hours that I worked for this company in the on-demand arena, and it was a total of 40 hours between April 15th and June 5th, 2024. Within those 40 hours, it is possible that I did not interpret any setting with a consumer out of Arizona. I ask for your forgiveness and grace in considering closing the case against me. This is due to an error in paperwork and timing. My work has remained excellent and my ethics have never been previously questioned. I am deeply sorry for my tardiness in renewing my license a year ago. I hope that the board will be understanding, and I am hopeful that I can continue my work as a professional and nationally licensed certified interpreter." Okay. The next public comments come from Jennifer Beeman, who is commenting on the complaint against Audrey Evans. She writes, "I have worked with Audrey Evans for 10 plus years in both a VRS setting and freelance. I have never known her to be anything but professional. She is a team I know I can always count on. She is alert and ready to support her teams, whether she is the on interpreter or the off interpreter. She gives back to the deaf and interpreter community. She has mentored more than one newer interpreter along with doing pro bono work for the community. I have seen her in both professional and social situations and have witnessed nothing but a kind, giving, caring person. I feel she is someone who embodies the code of ethics and demonstrates them on a daily basis." Okay. The next comments come from Petula Oster, who is also commenting on the complaint filed against Audrey Evans. Her comments are as follows. I am submitting this comment in response to the Commission's continued review of the complaint against Audrey Evans originating from the April 6, 2024 event at Apache ASL Trails. As of October 17, 2025, it has been 559 days since that event. It is concerning that this matter remains under review. Even the complainants describe the incident as an accident, oversight, or overzealousness in the course of work, not as aggressive or malicious behavior. Despite this, substantial taxpayer-funded resources continue to be devoted to a matter of minimal consequence. The extended focus on this issue is disproportionate and not in the best interest of the community. Meanwhile, the Commission has addressed complaints regarding a deaf interpreter reviewed on the same day last month, immediately following Audrey's case, who had multiple complainants for behaviors that were not dissimilar and potentially more serious. That conduct was deemed accessible within a professional context, and no meaningful consequences followed. The inconsistency in outcomes raises serious concerns about the standards being applied and undermines confidence in the fairness of the investigative process. Further concern arises from the structure of the investigation itself. Peers and subordinates within the same office reporting to the same leadership were tasked with conducting what should have been an impartial review. This structure creates the appearance of bias and highlights the difficulty of maintaining objectivity in such a small professional community. I was less than 50 feet away from the incident and witnessed the interactions firsthand, yet I have not been questioned. Additionally, members of the deaf and deafblind community present at the event had little or no opportunity to provide input, despite the meeting being convened for their benefit. Their exclusion from this process raises legitimate concerns about transparency, inclusion, and adherence to the intended purpose of that event. It is also troubling that this matter was escalated rather than resolved privately, as professional grievance procedures are designed to encourage. From my understanding, the complainants and witnesses only spoke with Audrey Evans after the event. She acknowledged contributing to a misunderstanding, apologized, and the matter was minimized at that time. If those conversations occurred, it is unclear why this is later elevated and stretched to cost nearly 2 years. The prolonged investigation reflects inefficiency and unnecessary overextension of resources rather than any indication of ongoing risk or misconduct. The attention given to this minor and largely unintentional event has diverted focus from broader responsibilities of the Commission, particularly regarding the deafblind community and the agency's lack of preparedness on that day. The time, energy, and scrutiny devoted to this matter risk eroding public trust in the Commission's leadership and credibility. The Commission's mission is to serve the deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing communities with fairness, transparency, and accountability. Unfortunately, this investigation in its extended form has achieved the opposite. It has created unnecessary stress, division, and uncertainty among professionals and the community as a whole. All right, we have 2 more written comments. The next written comment comes from Christy Kraft, who is also writing her comments are in regards to the complaint against Audrey Evans. She writes, I am writing to provide my perspective regarding Audrey Evans. I have had the privilege of knowing and working with Audrey as my interpreter for nearly 30 years. During this time, she has always demonstrated the highest level of professionalism, integrity, and respect in her work. I recently became aware of an allegation that Audrey pushed someone out of a chair. Based on my long history of experience with her, I find this claim very difficult to believe. In all the years I've known Audrey, she has consistently conducted herself with patience, kindness, and professionalism. I consider Audrey to be one of the best interpreters I've ever worked with, and I hold her in the highest regard, both personally and professionally. And the last written comment comes from Petra Marshall, who writes, to the ACDHH board, my name is Petra Marshall, and I've actively known Audrey Evans for 30 years in a professional capacity, as well as in community settings. We first met at a deaf conference where we both volunteered in the tactile department supporting deafblind attendees. In addition to her interpreting, Audrey was attentive, respectful, and compassionate towards the deafblind individuals assigned to her. She showed a genuine care while remaining within professional and ethical boundaries, a balance that impressed me greatly. Audrey is always mindful of the RID tenets. I have seen her step away from a situation to carefully consider the tenets before responding, and then follow up with the respective agency to explain the reasoning behind her decision. I am aware of this practice because we have troubleshooted events together, and I have observed firsthand how she consistently falls back on the tenets to guide her actions. This commitment to ethical best practices is something I personally appreciated and adopted in my own work. Beyond specific assignments, I've also seen Audrey contribute in community settings such as deaf events and church services, where she ensures accessibility with patience, cultural respect, and professionalism. In every environment, Audrey demonstrates reliability, integrity, and compassion, making her a trusted professional and valued member of the community. While I understand that concerns are under review, my direct experience shows Audrey to be an ethical, dependable, and dedicated professional who upholds the highest standards of the interpreting field. I respectfully ask the board to consider her longstanding record of professionalism and service. Okay, and then we have live comments. The first will come from Audrey Evans, who is here with us.
My mic on? I'm just here to answer any questions that the board may have for me. That's all. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Audrey? Move to the next live comment.
All right, and the last live comment is going to come from Ashley Martin, who's also here with us today.
Is my mic on? Okay. Hi everybody. So, well, this has been a challenging situation to navigate over the last year and some change. One of the biggest notes that I think I would make is that all of that time between the event and now has allowed me to really like sit and think with all of it. And ultimately, my goal with this process is to acknowledge that a situation happened, right? And at the end of the day, I would like a resolution of some sort. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I wholeheartedly believe that Audrey is a good person. And at no point in time was this complaint ever to be a show of her character, right? There was a situation that occurred and repair was not complete. And so in attempts to repair after the event, they weren't made. And as a newer interpreter who was very impacted by this event, I needed to do something for me in this process because the situation occurred. I definitely feel that as an interning interpreter, it was easy for me to say that that situation was overwhelming. It was very easy for me to acknowledge that I was having a hard time and I needed support. And there was a lot going on. Even in the debrief afterwards with the team of interpreters, there was a lot going on. It was a very overwhelming and overstimulating space to be in. And so I don't know that it's unreasonable to acknowledge that a veteran interpreter of any caliber could have also been overwhelmed in that situation, and a situation could have happened. There's a difference between intent and impact, and I want that to be acknowledged and addressed because while I do not believe Audrey's intent was to cause harm, the impact of the event caused harm. And there wasn't enough repair done. And that is ultimately the goal, because when we think about the tenets and we think about respect for colleagues, there's something that's missing. And as the interning interpreter who's so new and still trying to like get all of the things together, there was a gap there that needs to be closed. And so for me, I would like to also be done with this process. I think we all would like to be done with this process and have a show of some mutual respect to acknowledge that yes, this did happen. And while the intent wasn't to cause harm, harm was done. And so what can we do about this harm to respect our colleagues? I appreciate everybody's time and patience because as part of the process, like this was a lot to deal with. And to Audrey, I respect you for navigating this the way that you've been navigating this. I appreciate all of the support everybody's been offering you because again, I do not think Audrey is a bad person. I think an unfortunate thing happened and we need to do something about that. So I appreciate everybody's time and I'm gonna be done.
Thank you, Ashley. Kyla, there's no video comments at this time. Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is the interpreter complaints. Victoria, did you want to take us through these complaints?
Sure. I wanted to check my audio. Are we good here? Okay. All righty. So the first complaint on the agenda, let me just double check, is the one against Audrey Evans filed by Ashley Martin. So again, this is the second complaint for the same incident that we spoke about in September during our ILC meeting. There were two separate complaints filed, although it's for the same date, incident, and event. Since complaints were filed separately, I do have to address those separately or bring those to you separately. So just to clear that up. So again, this complaint is, it's the allegation that during the ACDHH Deafblind Forum meeting, Ms. Audrey Evans allegedly pushed Ashley Martin from a chair while switching interpreter positions. Some observations from witnesses say that they saw Ashley falling from her chair and reaching to brace for impact during this switch between the two interpreters. And then after after the incident on the day of the Deafblind Forum, Carmen Smith, Audrey Evans, and Ashley Martin did do a debrief to talk about the behavior in which Carmen observed. And at that point in time, Ms. Evans did apologize, explaining that it was a high demand and it was a lot going on, very stressful situation. Ashley did recognize that during that particular debrief, she was still in shock. So she was unable to actively participate in that conversation, but later did process what did occur. The full report is in the portal for the commissioners to review. I'm just going to do a few of the highlights to kind of refresh everyone's memory if you did get a chance to read the whole report. But Ashley in her interview did confirm that Ashley touched her left shoulder, causing her to fall off the chair while the two of them were switching from the on seat to the off seat and vice versa. Both acknowledged that, both Ashley and Audrey acknowledged that that assignment was, had a lot of demands, a lot was going on. And Ashley expressed that she got to a point where she was overwhelmed during her on-seat time. And she sought help from her team, which was Audrey. And the solution to that was that Audrey was going to get up and take over for Ashley and be in the on-seat for the consumer. And during that interaction, that's where the physical contact was alleged to have happened. There are several witnesses that were contacted. And so you'll see that in the report as well, of things, of different viewpoints of what people saw. We have a witness who was on the stage. We have a witness of an off interpreter during that time. We have a witness of an interpreter that was sitting near Audrey and Ashley during this time. And we also have an audience member who was there, as well as you heard from the public comments, people that were there volunteering as well. All say they saw what happened. Everyone has a different version of what they saw or what they think happened prior to actually not being in her seat anymore. So we have a spectrum of she threw herself out of the chair, and then we all the way to the other end of she was pushed out of the chair. So those witness accounts are in the report as well. Again, as we acknowledge, something happened. We have several who say what they saw. Something to point out too during the investigation, the witnesses were, everyone was actively watching either the presenter, the speaker, or the interpreter. So, or either working as an interpreter or in the off seat supporting their team. So everyone's vantage point is a little different. You'll see in the witness statements there. If you have any questions, please let me know. Again, we talked about this matter in September, and just to refresh everyone's memory, the ILC recommended to the full board to have Audrey Evans do 2 clock hours of continuing education on the topic of working as a team, is what was recommended for the last complaint for this particular event. You do not have to keep the same recommendation, but just reminding you what was recommended for the last complaint. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Victoria. I'd like to open it the floor to discussion about this case. Does anyone have any comments or thoughts? Commissioner Cohen?
This is Andrew speaking. I have a point of clarification. I want to make sure I understand what happened. In our last ILC meeting, we talked about this case and made a recommendation. And now in today's meeting, this is a separate complaint that was filed by a different person. So that means we closed the last case last meeting and we can't reopen it to discuss this separate complaint. I'm just unsure of the procedures. If we resolved something last meeting and now there's another complaint about the same incident, how can we do that if we resolved it last meeting? How do we reopen something that's been closed?
That's a good question, Commissioner Cohen. So what we did last meeting with the complaint for from Carmen Smith for Audrey Evans, that was a recommendation to the full board. So it's not technically closed, it's still open. When we meet with the full board and let them know what you've decided, the full board has the option to accept the ILC's recommendation or to do something different. But that one is still pending and it's separate. And so today's it's the same issue, but it's just a different person who's filed a complaint. And so they have the right to go through the process to go appear before the ILC, and then the ILC make a recommendation to the full board on their case, even though it's the same event and same allegations.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. So personally, in my opinion, that situation was unfortunate. It seems as though it's become quite complex. And something from today, during the comments that was said, is that Audrey is a phenomenal person. She's not a bad person. It was a mistake. So it seems like forgiveness has happened it was a mistake. There was a realization of that. So to me, filing a complaint from both Carmen and Ashley was unnecessary. It just makes me wonder if we should consider it as, I don't know how to phrase this, dismiss the recommendations from the first one and dismiss it from this one. I don't know how to phrase it, and just get it off the docket as waived or dismissed.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. I did have a question, Victoria. If these are two separate complaints, are we looking at them completely separate then, as far as what we would determine is appropriate for each case, or are we, okay,
Yes. Mhm.
okay. Do any of the other commissioners have some thoughts on this? Commissioner Saintville?
Yes, let's see. As far as Commissioner Cohen, like he had mentioned, mm, I'm still thinking on this. What Ashley had said, there has been so much time, honestly, that has passed. And given that time for everyone to think about everything that had occurred as to what had happened and their roles in that interpreting process, it seems to be that she has forgiven Audrey. And like what was said the last time, it seemed to be an honest mistake. But when it comes to working as a team, and it does propose challenges when doing so. People are from different backgrounds, different upbringings, and different trainings, different technologies and communications and the like. So it's really important when you do work with someone as a team that you communicate with them. Make sure that you know who is doing what role and you know your plan for turn taking and how you will support each other when providing and feeding information to each other. I believe that that should have been the strategy before the event so that communication and support was provided as needed. Maybe a change in setting, a change in lighting, or whatever it may be. And then afterwards, encouraging those interpreters to have that debrief as to what occurred, providing feedback to each other, and also in that time, recognizing their errors and mistakes and discuss areas of improvement and just continue that communication during those assignments. I think that would really help a lot, and that's just my perspective on it. But honestly, based on what I see within the community with Ashley and Audrey, both of them are outstanding interpreters. Especially, Ashley has grown so much just in the few years, and it's been a pleasure working with Ashley. So I just want to recognize and recognize that in the both of them.
Commissioner Cohen?
This is Commissioner Cohen. So if I do remember correctly, as far as the process goes, I would like to make a motion. Actually, I would like to make two motions. I don't know if I can do that, but
One motion at a
as far-
time.
Okay, so maybe a recommendation towards a vote. I'm not sure. Just remind me. I just want to make sure that I'm using proper etiquette here.
Well, if you'd like to make a motion to open voting, that would be how you do that. I think if you wanted to, what you would be doing here is making a recommendation to the larger board is the ultimate goal. So if that's what you want to do, then I would say, you know, like we did last time, make that motion. But that's really the action that can be taken. I don't think there's any other kind of action.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, this is Andrew again. So I have two things. First, I would move for us to recommend to the entire board to excuse this complaint from Ashley Martin, to dismiss the complaint from Ashley Martin.
Is there a second?
I
from
second that.
Is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes for the recommendation. Commissioner Cohen, did you have a second?
Yes, and moving on to my second, I would move to dismiss the prior recommendation from the prior ILC meeting regarding the complaint by
I will-
Carmen Green for Audrey
This is
Evans.
Elise. That is outside the scope of this. We can't get off the agenda in that way. If at the next ILC it wants to be brought back, or if it wants further discussion at the next one, that's fine, but that's not the complaint that we're on right now. And I don't want to get off track in that way
Commissioner
from the
Siko
agenda.
said yes, it's not on the agenda. Okay, so I'd like to ask Elise, then how would we dismiss that first one if it was recommended already? How might we retroactively go back to dismiss that one?
It could be put on the agenda for the next ILC. Or you could certainly bring it up in a personal capacity in the conversation at the larger board meeting. Just in the discussions. But that would be, again, and we are now off track of the agenda item. So I will just say if there's something not on the agenda here, then it can be discussed if it's brought up on the next agenda, or if it's related to another item and you would like to bring it up as just a point of discussion at the next main board meeting, that would be the way to do it. But we are off track from this agenda item, so it's best to leave this there.
This is Commissioner Cohen. So that means that we will address that then at the main board meeting. Understood. We can address it at that time. Thank you.
I'm not sure if Commissioner Thompson, do you still have a question?
Commissioner Thompson, I was just going to comment that this would be a good opportunity to have the whole board weigh in on this decision, because it seems like there's many different facets to this situation, and I would rather have the whole board review this.
Well, just to clarify, the whole board will discuss it. It's just they would review it from the perspective of your recommendation. If you would like to make a motion, you know, to, I guess, recommend that the board review this specific complaint from ground up and not take a recommendation from the ILC, you could do that. But again, it would be just in reference to this complaint.
This is Commissioner Thompson. since I haven't been involved from the ground up, it's my first time back since being out of commission. I just read through everything and I am not comfortable of making any kind of decision for this situation. I was just making a comment, so I defer to everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Cienko, did you have something that you wanted to add? I noticed your hand up.
This is Commissioner Cinco. No, just initially, I was planning to step in and ASLized what our AG was talking about recently, but it seems that the light came on and we all did understand, so I have no further comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Cienko. Can we move on to the next complaint, please?
Sure. Okay. So I'm sorry, just for my records, I think I got lost in the discussion. So for Ashley's complaint against Audrey Evans, we're dismissing, that's the recommendation to the full board, right? Okay. Gonna note. Okay. The next complaint on the agenda is a complaint against Alvina Malcolm. Alvina, hold on, sorry. Alvina Malcolm held a Arizona General Interpreter license from April 2023 to April 20th, 2024. On June 5th, 2024, when reapplying, Ms. Malcolm answered yes to question 19, which asks, has your state of Arizona interpreter license or another jurisdiction certificate or license lapsed in the past? And she attributed the lapse to a change of address and forgetting the renewal date. Ms. Malcolm indicated that she worked without a license for 46 days after its expiration. And something to note for this particular case too, as of October 16th, Alvina Malcolm is not licensed in Arizona because her recent renewal was denied on September 7th, 2025 due to lack of complete information. So our options for addressing this particular complaint of working without an Arizona license for 46 days. Our options are to dismiss or send a letter of reprimand because she's not licensed right now. So we can, like I said, dismiss it or send a letter of reprimand for working for Arizona consumers for 46 days without an active Arizona license. We're not sure to, let me highlight that part of the report, if she in fact worked for Arizonans during that 46-day lapse, because she does work for a VRI company that mandates that they all get all of the licenses and registrations for every state to make sure that they're covered. So we don't know for sure if she did work for Arizona. So I do want to put that out there. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Victoria. Is there anyone that has thoughts or comments? I'd like to make a motion. Commissioner Thompson?
This is Commissioner Thompson. In reviewing the information and the struggle of not knowing whether or not the job is from Arizona and it's a lapse and just paperwork, I would move to dismiss.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. Is there a second? Thank
This
you,
is Commissioner Cinco. I second it.
Thank you. The motion passes as a recommendation to the board to dismiss this particular case. Okay, I think we can move on to the next complaint.
Okay. The next one I have is for Lisa Carbone. And let me find. Okay, so Lisa Carbone admits to providing interpreting services for Arizona consumers without an active Arizona license for a period after her license expired on June 21st, 2024, and before her new license was issued on September 19th, 2024. She stated that on her application, again, question 19, where we directly ask you, has your license lapsed and have you worked in Arizona with that lapsed license? She answered yes. However, again, Lisa works for, and she currently does have a Arizona license. She does work for, again, an agency that requires all the licenses, all the registrations, and so she can't specifically tell us if she's worked for Arizona residents or consumers during that lapse time. And even in contacting her company that she works for, they are unable to confirm. So again, our options here, again, dismiss, letter of reprimand. We do have more flexibility with civil penalty, which could be workshop hours or a monetary fine. Those are all on the table because again, Lisa does have a active license with us right now. So she is a licensee, but similar to the last complaint on the agenda is that we can't confirm and the company can't confirm if she in fact during her lapse worked for Arizona consumers. And please let me know if you have any questions.
Are there any comments from the other commissioners on this particular case? Am I correct in that it looks like the service that she works for does the licensing process for them, or is that incorrect? Is that just they provide the funds?
They provide the funds.
Okay.
Mhm.
Commissioner Thompson?
This is Commissioner Thompson. What I'm noticing is the same company and also that they provide the funds, and could not answer whether or not they were sending her job that she did not have a current license. I would be more concerned about their track record to keep an eye on this, knowing that she did not have her license renewed yet.
Mhm.
I'm not comfortable with any weapon. I'm for this situation because it seems to be more of a company issue. That's just my 2 cents.
Mhm.
You, Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Cohen?
This is Andrew speaking. I agree. I remember the board, we did discuss a little bit, is this something that we can do? Can we go after companies? But it's not something within our power. Of course, it would be nice, but because they are a company, we don't have that type of power. So I think that's something that we do have to remember. It is sad, but anyway, back to this case, I think I would make the same motion to recommend to the board that we dismiss this complaint.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. I'll second that motion. Anybody opposed or abstain? Seeing none, the motion carries to recommend to the board to dismiss the case. Okay. Victoria, do you want to take us into the next one?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I just looked at the agenda. Did I skip a break? Are we supposed to, I'm looking to you. No, it's totally your call, Lisa, but I think I jumped the gun.
Does
Excuse me,
anybody
Commissioner.
feel like we need a break? Do the interpreters or the captioner need a break at this moment?
This is Sabrina, the captioner. I'm fine.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you. I think we'll just continue. We only have 2 left.
Okay. All right, let's see. So we are on to the next one is Bryn Hickey. Let's see. Bear with me. So Bryn Hickey held a Arizona General Interpreter license from February 23rd, 2023 to February 23rd, 2024. And again, when she reapplied for her license in November, on November 25th of 2024, Bryn Hickey answered yes to question 19 about has your Arizona state interpreter license or another jurisdiction certificate license lapse in the past, and she answered yes. I only work online and we have 10 licenses to keep track of, and Arizona fell off the radar was the reason that she stated. She worked without a license for that time period. Ms. Hickey also indicated that she worked without an Arizona license for about 300 days beyond the expiration date. Again, same company. When I interviewed Bryn Hickey, she disclosed who her company was that she works for. And again, we reached out to the company to say, can you tell us if she serviced any Arizona residents? And they cannot. And she could not, of course, because the company can't. So this is another instance of 300 days without an active Arizona license, but inability to confirm that she did service Arizona consumers without that license. And then the options again that we have are to dismiss, letter of reprimand, civil penalty, etc.
This seems to be another one from the same company, same kind of scenario. I move that we recommend to the board to dismiss this case as well. Does anyone opposed? We have a second from Commissioner Johnson. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Okay. Motion carries. We will move on to the last item, which looks like it's not a complaint, just a discussion. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So this is, we would like if we can, Commissioner Swenson, is a recommendation to, but this is Arizona and licensed interpreter Buck Roger. Oh, sorry, my screen just went down. Hold on. Okay. Arizona licensed interpreter, Mr. Buck Rogers holds an Arizona Legal D ASL interpreter license. The commission was recently notified that, excuse me, let me back up a bit. And this Legal D license has been held since June 14th of 2018. It is valid until June 14th of 2026. So the standard practice of Arizona licensure is to reissue the license or renew it annually. So he renewed earlier this year and he's good until June 14th of 2026. Well, in August of 2025, RID, which is the Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf, issued a decision to permanently revoke Mr. Rogers' national certification. Arizona licensure is contingent upon maintaining an active RID, NAD, or BEI certification. So as it stands now, his license is still active because we've already issued that renewal for the full year. But in the middle of that, his certification has been revoked by the national certifying body. ACDHH was notified in mid-September of this. And so we're bringing it to the ILC for some recommendations for the full board at the next meeting on how to handle revoke his license, effective of that decision, suspending his license, effective of that decision date until June of 2026 are some options, or let the license run its course until June of 2026. Bringing it to the committee to make that decision because staff does not have the authority to make that decision. Because again, once we issue it, the license is good for that full year, unless the board, who has the authority, can do the revocation, the suspension, et cetera.
Is there anyone that would like to make a recommendation as far as this goes? Commissioner Cohen?
This is Commissioner Cohen. I just have one quick question, actually. Do we have any prior incidences of this happening with him or with other interpreters? Just something I wanted to get some clarification on.
In Arizona, no. I looked in the records to see what kind of precedent we had to help guide us. And from what I couldn't find anything that was similar to the situation. So what we have had is when RAD revokes or suspends a certification, the interpreter doesn't let ACDHH know. And so that's a violation. It's an unethical practice, unprofessional practice. So we've had that and we've addressed that. But their revocation or their suspension is usually temporary. We've never, from what I can tell, had it where their certification has been revoked permanently. As the RID has stated, he can never have their certification again. And so we're in a pickle because his license is technically good until June of 2026 without a valid certification. And even the reasons for that RID has stated for his revocation are concerning.
And those reasons that it was revoked, is that something that we're able to share here during the meeting?
So in general, because it's on the RID's website, and so it talks about unprofessional and unethical conduct and professional practice, and the violation of the ethical practice system that RID has set up for interpreters to follow. So those are the general citings, and it says severe violations of upholding trust in the profession and having unprofessional and unethical conduct. So that's all the information we have that's on the RID website.
I do feel that if RID has decided to permanently revoke it, that we should immediately take action on that. I think it's because our licensure depends on RID certification anyway. My recommendation would be or I move to recommend that we revoke his, or I don't know if can we revoke it or do we have to suspend until it's June 6th?
I don't know if
Revoke it.
Oh, Elise, go ahead, sorry.
The board can revoke a license at any time. If, like, say, he reapplied, that could be a like denial that would be based upon the date of his reapplication. But the board has the authority to revoke or suspend, and since he's now technically missing a requirement, as you said, revocation is available and it's not date dependent. So yes.
Okay, thank you. So my motion, just to state it more clearly, would be to recommend to the board as a whole that we immediately revoke that. Is it the legal D
Yes.
license?
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Any discussion or opposition to that motion or second? Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Okay, the motion passes. And I think that is it for today. Am I correct? Do you have one more thing, Victoria?
Sorry, Commissioner Swenson, I misspoke. He's not a legal D, he's a legal A. So I don't know if you need to redo the motion. I apologize. I read it wrong. Legal A is what the license category he has.
Okay. At least do I need to rephrase that motion?
Yeah, just to be safe, let's make sure.
Okay. All right. Let me correct my previous motion. I move to recommend that we immediately revoke the legal A certificate or licensure that the interpreter has, as that is dependent upon having an RID certification, which they no longer. Anyone opposed to that? All in agreements? Okay. Motion carries. Is there anything else that we need to talk about, or can we have a motion to adjourn?
This is Commissioner Cienko. I move that we adjourn today's meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Cinco. I second that. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and giving us your energy. I appreciate it. Have a great Friday and weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend. Bye.